Hello everyone! Today we're revealing WWF Raw's War from April 30th, 1998. The show opens with a WWF champion Steve Austin. He grabs a mic and says the show isn't going anywhere until Vince McMahon comes out. The Rattlesnake promises he won't knock the chairman and that he just wants to talk. Man to man. Then Vince McMahon appears, but not alone. Pat Patterson, Gabriel Briscoe, and even Riot Police woke up. Austin wants to know who he's facing at Unforgiven. Vince says he hasn't decided yet, but Austin doesn't buy it. He says Vince McMahon hates everything about him. The beer drinking, the swearing, the attitude. The fact he doesn't look like some corporate champion. Maybe the champion Vince wants is Vince McMahon himself. Austin challenges Vince for the WWF Championship match tonight. He says they can do this the easy way. Vince comes out to the ring and even handpicks the referee. Or the hard way. Austin goes backstage and beats him up in his own office. And just in case Vince thinks about leaving, Austin already has beaten up his limo driver and made 4 flat tires. The segment ends with Austin giving 30 minutes to Vince McMahon to decide. First match, DOA vs Los Boricuas. The match doesn't even start because DX hits the ring and destroys chains with chairs, pedigree, and even a spike power driver at the ramp. After that, Los Boricuas try to celebrate with DX, but they also get taken out. The segment ends with DX continuing to beat up the helpless teams. Backstage, Shane McMahon tries to talk his father out of fighting Austin, but Patterson and Briscoe encouraging him, and then Vince heads to the ring alone, interrupting the start of a tag team match. He talks about the WWF being passed down from his father and grandfather. WWF is all about honor, integrity and values, things Stone Cold doesn't represent. And then he answers Austin's challenge and it's official. Tonight, Austin vs McMahon for the WWF Championship. Before the tag match can finally start, lights go out. The Undertaker storms the ring and destroys everyone. Then, he grabs a microphone and calls out his brother to come to the ring at the end of the night. Kevin Kelly shows us what happened during the break, and Jim Ross is arguing with Briscoe and Patterson, and Shane McMahon is on JR's side. Vince stops the argument and sends JR back to the announce table and tells Shane to bring his gear. Next match, Jeff Jarrett vs Taka Michinoku. Before the match, papers rain down from the ceiling, advertising Jeff Jarrett's upcoming singing at Unforgiven. Right from the start, Jarrett uses his size advantage, taking Taka down and keeping him on the mat. On split screen, Steve Blackman appears backstage and promises revenge for last week's attack. He warns Jarrett that payback could happen tonight. Taka manages a quick burst of offense, even sending Jarrett to the outside and setting him up for his signature dive. But NEC Lee jumps into the ring steps and blocks him. That distraction opens the door for Coop Kamikaze to storm the ring and attack Taka from behind, which leads to a disqualification win for him. But the win means nothing. Jarrett immediately walks in the figure 4 leg walk after the bell, leaving the White Heavyweight Champion laid out. Backstage, Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson coach Mr. McMahon on how to block the Stone Cold Stunner, showing just how paranoid the chairman has become. Then, Farouk makes his way to the ring with trips taped and new theme music playing. He admits he got beaten down, but he calls out The Rock to finish the job. The Nation of Domination appears and trash talk Farouk, but then Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman rush down and a huge brawl starts. Referees separate them as Raw goes to commercial break. We continue with Terry Funk storming the ring and addressing Cactus Jack walking out because the fans were chanting for Stone Cold. But Funk makes one thing clear. He doesn't care who the fans chant for. He's not quitting. He says his new partner is hardcore, someone who was never truly given a chance. Flash Funk comes out as Jim Ross points out Flash is stepping back into the spotlight as Too Cold Scorpio, which leads to Terry Funk and Too Cold Scorpio versus the Q-Bakers. The Q-Bakers try to overwhelm Funk early, but he fires back and tags in Scorpio, who cleans house. Drop kicks, body slams, pure athleticism. Soon, Funk neutralizes Jacques on the outside, and Scorpio hits a 40-50 splash for the win. It's a short, but it's a statement. Flash Funk is no more. Too Cold Scorpio has arrived. Next, Luna makes her entrance in an all-white sailor-inspired outfit. She grabs the mic and calls out Sable right now. But instead, Goldust appears dressed in gold. Luna comedically attacks him, stripping him off, predicting what will happen to Sable at Unforgiven. Finally, the real Sable storms the ring. The two women start fighting, with refs and officials rushing out to break it up. The segment ends with Goldust pulling Luna from the stage. After that, Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman versus the new Midnight Express with Jim Cornette at ringside. Dan Severn tries to accompany the champions, but Cornette is quickly told to keep him back. Blackman absorbs most of the action, taking out a devastating moves. Eventually, Shamrock gets the hot tag, standing his ground and beating down the heels. Not long after, chaos erupts in the ring. All four men collide, and the referee has no choice but to call the match a double disqualification. Shamrock and Blackman clear the ring to end the segment. Back in the ring, the Headbangers are preparing for a match when suddenly the lights go out. It's not Kane this time, it's The Undertaker. Trash and Mosh foolishly try to fight back, but it's no use. The Dead Man delivers a devastating power driver to Thrasher and a chokeslam to Mosh, leaving them wrecked in the ring. Then the lights go out again, and now Kane appears, standing on the ramp with Paul Bearer. Bearer grabs a mic and lays down a challenge. If The Undertaker wants to fight his own brother, it won't happen on Raw or any normal ring. It will happen next week, right on the graves of their parents. Kane lights the four corners of the ring ablaze, sending a clear warning to the Dead Man. Meanwhile, in a completely different tone, another Val Venis vignette airs. The self-proclaimed ladies' man appears on the Titantron talking about his next film, entitled Lost in Space. The segment ends teasing his arrival and setting up future chaos. Next up, D-Generation X hits the ring. Triple H claims they've been obsessing all weekend over who gets to finally finish off Owen Hart. To decide it, each member of the X had to write a 50-word essay. X-Pac was too adult, China was too violent, and Road Dogg didn't even qualify. But the winner is Billy Gunn. Owen Hart makes his entrance, but he's not alone this time. LOD 2000 and Sunny walk out to back him up, evening the numbers game at ringside. Before the match begins, the cameras cut backstage to Vince McMahon pumping iron for his match later tonight. We joined action in progress after the break. Triple H and X-Pac join commentary, cracking jokes and insulting Owen. Initially, Billy Gunn controls the match, but Owen begins to fire back with a spinning heel kick and a sharp enziguri that shifts momentum completely. Soon, Owen walks in the sharpshooter, but once again China becomes a distraction on the apron. After another commercial break, the match picks up. Gunn regains control, but instead of finishing Owen, he decides to pose for DX. His arrogance makes Owen catch him off guard with a quick roll-up for the win. The segment ends with DX angry in the ring as Owen and LOD 2000 celebrate. And now, the main event. Stone Cold Steve Austin vs Vince McMahon for the WWF belt. Vince McMahon makes his entrance first, looking absurdly confident, flexing and even using Patterson to warm him up with mock punches. Shane McMahon comes out one last time, pleading with his father not to go through with this. But Vince McMahon brushes him off. There's no changing his mind. Then the glass shatters. Stone Cold Steve Austin storms to the ring to a thunderous ovation. When he and Mr. McMahon stand face to face, Vince suddenly slaps him across the face. Jim Ross sounds genuinely terrified for his boss, but Austin doesn't explode. Then Vince grabs a microphone and reminds Austin of his earlier claim that he could beat Vince McMahon with one arm tied behind his back. He pulls out a rope and demands Austin wrestle with one arm tied. The Rattlesnake asks for a hell yeah if the crowd thinks he can still whip Vince's ass. The response shakes the building. Vince asks if he can beat Stone Cold Steve Austin and the crowd yells, "Hell no!" The bell is about to ring and then Dude Wolf's music hits. He tries to play peacemaker and reminds that without Vince, there's no Dude Wolf lifestyle. Vince suddenly shoves Dude to the mat, but Dude pops up and goes for the mandible claw on Vince. Austin steps in, but Dude spins around and claps the mandible claw onto Austin instead. Vince retreats, confused, furious, and unsure whether to be grateful or enraged. Meanwhile, Dude Wolf throws Austin to the barricade, then drags him into the announce table. Austin fights with everything he has, but with one arm tied behind his back, the odds are impossible. Raw fades off to black, with Dude Wolf standing tall over the WWF champion. Key takeaways from the show. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon almost got their first match. Dude Wolf shocking everyone by attacking Austin. And The Undertaker and Kane escalate their feud to another level, with Paul Bearer announcing a cemetery showdown on their parents' graves. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more classic WWF reviews. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you at ringside.